Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30. We'll call the meeting of November 12th to order. And we have a shortened meeting today, and we do have one addition, and that's a request to replace a truck driver, and that's our county highway engineer will be here for that.
Move to approve with the addition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Our next item is citizens to be heard, and we have no citizens in the audience today, so we will move on to payments of bills and vouchers.
Mr. Chair, I move to pay the bills and vouchers.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And I think they just went to get Dave here, so. Come on up, Dave.
Morning, Dave.
Good morning. All right, you're looking for approval for out-of-state travel to go to the National Association of County Engineers Conference.
Yeah, I guess in order to try to secure an airline as early as I could, I would like to get permission to go back to the conference. This would be the third one. I went to the one that we hosted in Minneapolis about 3 years ago, and then last year both Nathan and I went to the one in Louisiana. It's a good chance to get a feel for what's going on, throughout the United States. There's a lot of different breakout sessions, a lot of different technical things. There's lots of legislation and things that are going on, as well as just things within the engineering industry and networking with other people doing the same thing that we're doing. It's a fairly close-knit group. It's really close in Minnesota, and it's actually pretty close throughout the United States. So I guess I feel like it's a valuable tool that helps me enable and do a little bit better job.
Mr. Chair, is Nate going to this one too?
No, we kind of talked about that a little bit, and we think maybe in order to provide coverage, and of course, if we do have severe flooding, I would decline, and I've done that before where they do give you your money back, but we're going to try to maybe alternate a little bit, maybe in the future, so maybe just one going.
Just asking.
John, do you have a question?
Well, that's what I was going to ask too. Reaffirm that it was just one person that you're talking now.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the out-of-state travel.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We'll move into the agenda addition, and that's Dave, you're requesting to replace the truck driver.
Yeah, on Friday, we got notice that one of our 6 full-time drivers has got a new position. I guess he's found something that's more suited for him, or maybe it's more money, but I guess I would like to get permission, if I could, to replace the truck driver position as quickly as we can. We've got several of our roster snowplow operators, or part-time, that are interested, so we might be able to quickly fill the position, with one of those, but nonetheless, if we could get permission to fill, I guess I'd like to kind of get that all filled up before we get too much snow.
Is there a training involved with that?
I guess, they've got to have a license, and then when we interview them, we try to ask questions relevant to their experience. So, and then, I guess I don't know if there's a certain specified training or anything, but.
So these guys, these are more for snow?
These are licensed, commercial driver's licensed individuals, and hopefully with some sort of snow plowing experience. That's what we like to find, and or maybe farm experience or construction, or a little combination of all three is ideal.
Okay. John?
Do you have to advertise even if you get somebody from already on staff?
In talking with HR, and I'm going to go through that a little more, I think we might be able to do it internally. Like if one of the motor grader operators retires, a lot of times we have a lateral within the highway department. So if we can do a lateral within the roster employees that we've already done the background checks on and the drug checks and that, if we can just a lateral with one of them employees. We are interviewing today for several of the other part-time. We've got 5 part-time snowplow positions within the highway department, and I think we need 2 right now, and we've got 4 that have applied, so we might be able to backfill then that one person.
We've got plenty of time here this morning. Darren, do you want to come up? Are you hearing what Dave's saying there? Do you, and John's question regarding this position? Would we have, we don't have to open this, do we, if there's somebody internally?
We can always advertise internal first.
Okay.
And see if we have any interest in that.
Okay.
And then if nobody shows any interest, then we can go external.
Okay, all right. All right, so that answers that question.
Sure. So, yeah, it would be one of our part-time roster or variable
Yep.
hours.
Yep.
And I would think there'd be a, you said there's not any particular training time, but boy, if you got somebody that didn't have any experience, we could lose a lot of mailboxes in a hurry.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, as well as hurt equipment and tear off the wings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think the individual that's working out of our Glendon district has expressed interest, so we would open it up internally, like Darren said, amongst those that are variable hour, and/or maybe I guess we've got 4 that work out of Moorhead and 2 out of Barnesville. And I don't think the ones in Barnesville would want to move up here because they live down there, but I suppose for one reason or another, we'd open it up internally and see what happens.
Okay, all right. Well, we got to have it.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's
Well, I
getting
would move that
close.
we approve the advertising for a truck driver position.
Second. We have a motion, any second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Darren. Anything else, Dave?
No, I think we got all our snow equipment ready to go, and our new truck is here now, so we're just kind of waiting and see what happens.
I can get back to the office over.
Yep,
I need to talk to you a couple minutes.
okay. I'll be here for about another half hour.
We certainly saved some fuel by missing this last one.
Yeah, I looked at our fuel budget a couple of weeks ago, and we have about $94,000 in fuel left at this time, which it's been quite a few years where we've had any budget at this time, so things are looking pretty good. Hopefully we can end the year in the black, and that would be a first.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
Super.
I'll stay in this area, so look out for you.
okay.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Okay, and what we have left is our committee reports. We have a short meeting today. Wayne, would you like to start first?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. On Wednesday, November 6th, Moorhead Planning Commission, routine business, then a preliminary plat approval for John Howe at 17th Street South between 44th and 45th Avenue. Then we rezoned a rezoning of an area to residential low density from transitional. And then there was a rezoning of a small part of Main Avenue Southeast by 16th Avenue South, from community commercial to light industrial. And that will go, of course, to the Moorhead City Council for final approval. On Thursday, November 6th, the local advisory committee for children's mental health, routine business, update on the 25th anniversary activities for the LAC. Transportation continues to be the #1 issue for those needing to meet appointments. Agency reports from Clay County Social Services, Clay County Collaborative, Clay County Public Health, Lakeland Mental Health Center, Mobile Crisis Unit, which is actually part of Lakeland Mental Health, and then from Lakes and Prairies. Yesterday, November 11th, for Lake Agassiz Regional Library, for the Northern Lights Library Network, at an executive meeting regarding relocation from Townsite Center to Moorhead State. And we met with the Vice President of Facilities over there, and that could happen down the line. Keep you posted. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Frank?
Wednesday, I went to drug court, and another interesting thing, I had a graduation there again, but got into the discussion afterwards about how much money's being saved by people going through drug instead of being put in jail, so it's really a worthwhile thing, that drug court, So Thursdays at University of Minnesota Extension, interviews for a part-time 4-H position. We had 2 people that we interviewed for that, and we 2 real good candidates. Friday, we met here for the canvassing board. Then after that, I had MetroCog Executive Board meeting. They were posting the senior planner because of the vacancy created by the senior planner was promoted. And also met with the executive director for a monthly evaluation. Monday, I went to Whiting Township meeting, and there they had several questions I'll have to clear up today. So I'll meet with talking about clearing roads and elections and stuff like that. But they had a few questions we'll clear up today.
Okay, all right. Grant?
Let's see, I had restorative justice reentry program meeting. Both those programs are busy and working with lots of kids right now, and funding seems fairly secure right now, so everything's going well there. And then I had Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation Executive Committee meeting, and there we basically worked on resolving our 2015 budget issues and updates from the staff, and things are actually looking pretty good. There's some, there's at least one significant business that's looking at our side of the river for, locating here, so they're actually looking at site in Moorhead, one in Fargo, and one out in Cass County somewhere, but it sounds like they're going to come and at least somewhere in the area in the near future, so that's it for me.
John?
Last Tuesday after meeting, we had highway tracking and discussed a number of things, but one was the possible new facility for the Holly Rolog area, and looking at what we can do as far as what the value of our existing facilities are for selling them, and what it would cost us to build new. But we're looking at those things. It'll be a ways down the road, but something we need to look at. And the other things you guys can report on. There was a campaign committee meeting for the Historical Society, and we're looking at some new ways to proceed with this major exhibit, and that's kind of exciting new venture which will be announced later. On Thursday, we had the board meeting for the Red River Basin Commission in Grand Forks, and we have some interesting situations there. Is that a number of people that are in line to be officers in the next few years lost their elections, and so we're nominations committee is meeting to try to figure out how to proceed with that. We've been rather fortunate over the last years. There's actually an 8-year time span. You're elected first 2 years as secretary treasurer, and 2 years as vice president, and 2 years as president, and 2 years as past president. Mm-hmm. And it's worked for some time, but 8 years is a long time to expect elected officials to all be there in line and waiting. And I'm just completing my last year as past president, so it worked for me, but it's not going to work the same way into the future. So we're looking at some new ways to probably structure that to make it less rigid as far as the way it has been. There's a number of issues in all the jurisdictions that we're looking at as far as the different watershed problems and so on. But things are generally going well for the Basin Commission, I think. I attended for the Historical Society. I attended Pangea on Saturday and worked there for a few hours. That's a marvelous cultural event. We have the Scandinavian event in the summer, and we have a German thing in September, and just about all the other nationalities are represented at this Pangea. It's really an interesting thing to see all these other cultures, their foods and their dance and their singing and all that stuff. And there was I don't know what the attendance was this time, but there was a lot of people. So I'm sure there was at least 1,000 people there that showed up for that again. So that was a good event. I did meet with Jenny Mojo on Monday for an hour and a half and went over things like the committees and so on, so she has some idea as to what committee she may want to be on. Told her that it's all negotiated and that it depends what committees you guys want. But so she's preparing for that, I think. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, John. I had 2 meetings last week. One was the, as John mentioned, the highway tracking meeting. In addition to the facility, in our Holly shop. We talked about the Felton County pit, and we talked a little bit about some ATV club requests, and maybe Brian can talk a little bit more about that. There were some questions regarding the wheelage tax formulas that we have with our communities and when they should get those funds. And then we had some preliminary discussions on what we voted on today with Dave going to the national conference. And then on Thursday, we had the Clay County Joint Powers Board meeting, and we had the presentation was given by Director Steve Larson from our Regional Juvenile Center, talking about the expansion of our group to include Cass County, and that was well received, and we were excited to see that there's collaboration between both sides of the river. Then there was some extensive discussion regarding the intergovernmental retreat, which is currently planned for January 23rd, as of right now, is the date scheduled for that. So, and that is going to be a change this year. It's going to be moved to the MCOP Center as opposed to tech school. So that's all I have. Brian, oh, excuse me, I do have one thing here that came in the mail, and I don't know, Vicki, if you received a copy of this as well, but it was from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency regarding our fiscal year 2015 first half score block grant. And it's just a notice of distribution that we met all of the criteria to get our first half payment. So I will turn this over to Vicki to have it put in the record.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah.
Hi. I was just thinking, when I first came on the commission, the county extended the offer to me to go to the AMC conference, and I did go before I had taken office, so I found that helpful. So I don't know if that's something we want to offer to Jenny or not. So I think I paid all my own expenses, but the county paid the registration for the AMC conference, so I don't know if that's something
I think that would be worthwhile.
Well, I think it's, yeah, and I would think that we should pay all the normal expenses, but, you know,
well, then I'd want to be reimbursed.
yeah, maybe you should be. Because it's a pretty important thing to be at, I think, for a new
I
commissioner.
found it helpful to go that first year when I, first started. So.
Yeah, because I
It's
think
difficult because they're not an employee yet, but.
I think that was the issue, is
Yeah.
that I think they had, the county had
But I
wanted to
think-
pay, but I thought there was some issue because, I wasn't working for the county at the time.
well, we'd have to check the
Yeah.
regulations there, but I do know that it seems every time when you go there, you see, I think they give them a badge that says commission-elect or something
Yeah,
on
yeah.
for new ones that are
Yeah.
coming. So there are some from several counties that I think it would make sense to go, and it'd probably be good for her to see what goes on there.
And she is planning on going to the new commissioner session in January as well.
Okay, all right. So we should have a motion to that effect.
I would so move that we pay as much as we can of the total cost of Jenny Mojo attending the conference in December.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Then Vicki, I suppose you should try to contact her and right away, so I know in St. Cloud we run into problems where you're scattered hotels and everything, so. Is that still an issue this time? Okay, all right. Okay, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on that matter, I didn't talk to Lori, but Vicki had a conversation with Lori, and Lori said that there is probably a little difficulty. So if you said that they did in the past pay the registration, but
Yeah, when I went, I think I paid for my hotel and,
Yeah.
drove and stuff, but I I think the county paid the registration. I think it's,
Okay.
at
We can
least
s-
at the time, I think they said that's what they could do.
They could do.
But I wanted to go, so I
We'll
went.
certainly follow up with Lori on that and see, and maybe even some other clarification on it, so.
Well, I think the motion covered it pretty well.
Absolutely did, yep.
Whatever's allowable.
Yep, very good, thank you. Just wanted, you covered everything on the highway tracking after the meeting. You went through the items really well. You did talk a little bit about the permit fee, considering changing the permit fee for the overloaded trucks and the overweight trucks and things, but you wanted to have...
I think that was kind of dropped from the agenda, though, I think, and
Yeah, you were going to set up a meeting, I think it was, with the other...
Back a little more information on
Yeah.
the potential annual conventional permit.
yeah, because I know on that one, Dave, I know I had requested, we had some interested parties that just want to come and give their perspective of it, the ones who have to pay for it and use it, so, right?
And you had asked me to expand a little bit on that ATV club request, and I think Dave was going to do some more research on that, too. There was an ATV club that wanted to establish a park in one of the gravel pits that may or may not be used up, and I think that was a big concern. And there's also, in addition to that, Tim Magnuson has set up a meeting with DNR in regards to usage of that. So that should be defined further on down the road here, so. I had some personnel meetings reference, I guess I've got BSO and public health in here. A business agent from the union was in and met with me, referenced some concerns, and certainly working with HR and public health on those. Public health, Gina and Kathy were over and met with me in regards to establishing a joint powers agreement, reference the food distribution. There's been some meetings on that and things. They'll be coming to the board to request Clay County participate in a joint powers agreement with Fargo. And it's something that MetroCog has been taking the lead on in regards to the distribution. You know, sometimes these gardens, they have garden spots, they have a lot of food, but they can't distribute it in a timely fashion. And so it's even larger than that, but it encompasses quite a bit. And we discussed that quite extensively, and they'll be coming to the board with that to establish a joint powers agreement in regards to that. And I had informed her that the board just eliminated a joint powers agreement, so, expect maybe some questions on that. So, did attend a diversion advisory meeting on last Thursday morning. Dave was there as well. A lot of discussion in regards to what's happening in Oakport right now, because, they're in the process of moving houses and rebuilding houses, and I say rebuilding, buying out the ones that are currently there, and the resident is building a new house within the confines of Oakport, and talking, it's a little bit of trouble getting appraisers and things like that, so there was a lot of discussion in regards to the valuations and things.
You don't mean Oakport, you mean Oxbow, don't you?
Did I say Oakport?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what? Is there something new going on out there I don't know about?
Oxbow.
Oxbow, okay.
Different ends, yeah, no, sorry. We had a management team meeting last Thursday morning as well. Things went well there, open discussion on quite a few things. Rhonda and I had a little meeting in regards to, and I think I mentioned it last time, we're talking before we come to you folks to even engage in the dialogue. We're trying to look at, is there an opportunity to, Becker County still has not hired a human service director, and is there time that we still consider the regional concept? And so we're just trying to keep being open-minded about that. So we'll certainly talk more about that, and if Rhonda has an interest in that, we'll certainly engage you folks as well early on in the process. I attended the drug court as well, and yes, we We were talking about the Veterans Court coming down, and we were talking about keeping, I know that just the one individual that was there, I don't know who mentioned it, I think it was Judge Lawson mentioned that it was a 3 to 5 year sentence, or maybe it was Bob that said 3 to 5 year sentence, and through this drug court, he will be staying out of jail for now, and if things go well with him, that's a lot of jail time that he's avoided that we wouldn't need to spend. So that's really a positive issue. The township meeting is next Monday. It's on your bottom of your agenda sheet there, but just a reminder that that's on Monday. It's a pretty full schedule on it.
Are they actually anticipating each of us speaking?
I
don't think so. I think that's all the
If
invitees.
you want to,
Yeah.
usually give you the opportunity if you're.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, they do want to hear from somebody, and usually if Ryan's there, he speaks for us, and so all we'd have to do is pretty much as a greeting if we want to do anything. So.
Whatever you want to do, yeah, whatever you want me to address. But it's in Barnesville this year.
Right.
Yeah, just so that people, if you do plan to go out there, don't go to Glendon, and it's in Barnesville, so, at the watershed building. So. And, Mr. Chair, I think that's all I have.
All right. I did want to, seeing as though you brought up Oakport.
Sorry, I don't know. I guess maybe that's all
I wanted to, Brian, and maybe for you and Dave, to let you know that yesterday I sent an email to Mayor Delray Williams in Moorhead. Obviously, as you know, that Oakport project's been something that's been pretty close to me since the flood of '97, and I'm anxious to see that done. And so I sent a letter to Mayor Williams asking her to put together a meeting, and I gave her a list of a lot of influential people that know the background of this thing going all the way back. And it goes to obviously Bruce Albright and Jerry Van Amberg from the watershed. I've got your name on there. I got Dave Overbo's name on there. Chris Carlson from Alteg Engineers, and then Dr. Zimmerman, and Michael Redingler, and then the two First Ward Council members, Otto and Daly, should also be included in that. And I'm hoping that we can, and the reason for it is that even though that area doesn't officially go into Moorhead until January 1, all the planning and things for the legislative session and the requests are being done now. They're all getting put in the hoppers now, and so I want to make sure that we don't miss the opportunity as a city and even the county support to be sure that we work with our local legislatures and get this in. So I think you're going to be, Dave and Brian, you're going to both be seeing invitations from the mayor on hopefully going to this meeting. So I'm glad you brought up Oakport.
I could sense you wanted.
Yeah, right. Anything else you're sensing besides the dream? All right, I think that covers everything for the go to the order today, so we will be adjourned.